Welcome everybody to this February recording of Price Know-How Snippets. With me today, I've got Ian Chisnall, Product Manager for Standard Polymers and Sustainable Materials. And the purpose of this snippet is to give you some insights into how we see the polymers market at the beginning of February and what might be in store for polymer processors in terms of pricing going forward. So I'm going to start by talking about fundamentals. I'm going to talk about crude oil and exchange rates. Then Ian's going to go on to talk about monomers and polymers and what might be happening in terms of increase in monomer prices feeding through into polymer prices. So let's have a look at crude oil. And actually, we've seen quite a dynamic market. So in terms of price per barrel, the average in December was 61.56. In January, that shot up to 64.15, an increase of $2.59 per barrel. The minimum price didn't go up that much, actually, went from 58.92 to 59.96, an increase of $1.04. The maximum was interesting, though. That jumped up from 63.75 to 70.71 per barrel, an increase of $6.97. In terms of range, this is a really interesting one. The range of prices from high to low in December was $4.83, and the range in January was $10.75. And we certainly saw quite a roller coaster with prices peaking quite close to the end of the month and then falling away. Lots of geopolitical issues going on, which were influencing that. For those who prefer our prices in pounds per tonne, the December average was £346.20, and the average in January is £357.40, an increase of £11.20. I think what was quite interesting also was exchange rates. Basically, we saw some dollar weakness creeping in January, which I think Donald Trump said he wasn't too worried about. He quite welcomed that. So when we look at the exchange rates against the euro, the pound went from 1.14 in December to 1.15 in January. On the dollar, the final result wasn't that much different. It was volatility, really. So it went from 134 to 135. We saw highs of around about 139 a few days ago. And against the euro dollar, it was pretty stable at 117 versus 117. So that's the kind of the backdrop. I'm going to hand you over to Ian. He's going to talk to you about monomer price increases and how that might influence the polymer market. Ian, over to you.
Many thanks, Mike. Yes, as Mike talked about, so oil prices on average up a reasonable amount in January over December, which has led to an increase in naphtha and consequently has also led to an increase in monomers, with both ethylene and propylene increasing by €15 a tonne. So ethylene now at €1,095 a tonne and propylene now at €965 a tonne. I suppose the key thing is, how does this feed through into the polymers? And I think some of the producers have taken these increases in monomers with a fair degree of enthusiasm and ambition and are looking for monomer plus increases. It varies depending on whether what your starting point is, and what your position is with your own sort of levels of stock. So in some instances on polypropylene, I have actually seen some people looking at rollover, others looking at plus 20, €25 a tonne increases. In polyethylene, it's different. So LDPE, it's definitely a big push for €50 a tonne price increases in LDPE due to the ongoing availability issues with SABIC still in force majeure and some production issues throughout Europe and reasonable demand for the product. So that €50 seems sort of fairly fixed so far. Quite a few producers also looking on the tailcoat, sort of looking for another €50 increase in things like HDPE, LDPE, metallocene, EVA. That may be a little bit ambitious. I certainly think that a monomer plus increase is on the cards, but whether or not we're going to see a full €50 increase pass through on HDPE, LDPE remains to be seen. I'm thinking more in the region of a monomer plus 10, 15. So in the region of €25 to €30 increases, £20-25 a tonne is my best guess on the early in the month of February as to what we're going to see on those grades. But it is a dynamic picture, and we will see what happens as the month continues, and we will have a more complete update for you in the middle of the month.
Thank you, Ian. As Ian said, we've got full price know-how that's going to be published around about the middle of the month. If in the meantime you've got any more questions, please do reach out to your Plastribution account management team or indeed myself or Ian. We'd be pleased to hear from you. And thank you for taking the time to listen to us this afternoon. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.